How's it going, guys? I'm Sam Hip. I hope you had a good week. I hope you had a good day. Today's a very special day because not only is this the first tutorial on this channel ever, but I get to teach you something super special. It's super near and dear to my heart because I love super groovy tech house, and that's the bass lines in that tech house are exactly what we're going to learn today. So if you like artists like Fisher, like Chris Lake, like Claptone, you are going to love today's tutorial. So yeah, let's jump on the PC and let's get started. All right, so let's get into Ableton. This is my DAW of choice. Let me know in the comments what you use. Do you use Ableton? Do you use FL Studio? Do you use something else? Yeah, let me know. So yeah, we got a basic tech house groove here. This is what it sounds like. So yeah, it's a tech house groove. It's not too complicated. And yeah, we got this bass here. It's gonna spice it up a little bit. It's just a simple patch I made in Serum. It sounds like this. So yeah, a little bit of kind of acidy bass there. So yeah, let's make a bass line. We're not going to get into music theory very much in this tutorial, at least, but it is pretty important to know what key your song is in, or your track is in. So this particular track, the drums are tuned to F, so we're gonna go with F minor today, which is right here. That's F right there, and then the F minor chord is just F, G sharp, and C. So yeah, that's what we're gonna stick with today. And so yeah, when I go to make a bass line, the first thing I think about actually is rhythm, because rhythm is really what drives the track. There are plenty of tech house songs out there that only have one note, like it's on one note, but the rhythm is really what drives it. So obviously we're gonna get a little melodic today, but that is the main thing to think about. So come up with the rhythm first. And how do you do that? We have what's called syncopated and non-syncopated rhythms. So if you don't know what syncopation is, it's like when the note hits on the beat, that's not syncopated. So syncopated is not on the beat, if that makes sense. So yeah, we want a blend of that. Like if I were to make this not syncopated, which would just be like this, and then in Ableton, Control D to duplicate it. So you can just do that, and then it would just sound like this. So yeah, I mean, you could have that going for maybe one bar, but yeah, not interesting. So that's where syncopation comes in. So let's go ahead and delete these, and we can leave the first note. We'll leave that, but let's delete the rest here. The important thing to think about here is balance. So yeah, syncopation spices it up, but it's pretty rare to see a bass line work with a song and be completely syncopated. Like especially when you're just starting out, you kind of want a balance between the two here. So we'll have the first note not syncopated, but then let's see, we can add a little bit here. So let's see, we'll stop it there. Maybe we'll bring this guy here, Maybe this guy can be, we'll make it a full note's length. It's not, that's a full note's length. Yeah, it's not on the beat per se, but it's still a full beat long, so it kind of is not syncopated, I don't know. And then we'll just finish it there. So yeah, all of a sudden, now it sounds like this. So a little bit harder to hear, or a little bit hard to hear because this bass doesn't have a quick attack like that, or yeah, it doesn't have a strong attack. But yeah, it's a bit more syncopated. Actually, let's move this back a bit so you guys can hear more. There we go. That should be more obvious. Okay. So yeah, yeah, I didn't really plan on it, but that's a pretty common tech house rhythm right there. So yeah, we're on the right track. And so now, oh, and one little tip here. if you're wondering like how fast to make it or how slow to make it, it depends on the bass, but usually one little trick is to count how many notes are in a bar. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. And usually you want between 4 and 6. That's kind of the sweet spot. So of course you can experiment with more or less, but that's kind of the sweet spot that I found for the rhythm. So yeah, between 4 and 6 notes per bar, and then maybe have 1 or 2 of those notes be on the beat and the rest syncopated. I think that's a recipe for success. So yeah, now we can move on to the melodic part of it. So like I mentioned, we're in F minor, so F, G sharp, and C, and those are really safe bets, especially F and G sharp. C is a little bit high. You can go there, but it's not as common. So yeah, yeah. So let's see. For example, I don't know, maybe we could move this guy up here. Maybe move this guy up here. Maybe move this guy up here. So now it sounds like this. So yeah, and actually we could even, another common technique in bass lines, especially if you're playing the actual bass, is to kind of walk the bass line up. That's kind of a common jazz technique there. So yeah, we could have this guy kind of walk up. This is still in the key, so this is the second. This is G there. So now it sounds like this. And yeah, I mean, honestly, you could just make a track out of this. I mean, you wouldn't want it to play forever. But yeah, we're on the right track. I've heard, I've heard simpler tech house bass lines. So yeah, now what we can do is we can use other effects to kind of spice it up a little bit. So for example, we can use legato. And if you don't know what legato is, basically it's when you have 2 notes overlapping, and rather than have them like have one start and then the next start, they just kind of glide into each other. In fact, you'll see it called glide on a lot of plugins too, not necessarily legato. I think in Serum it's called legato. Let's see. Yeah, it's right there. So, and I already had it checked anyway. But yeah, legato's right there. We can also have portamento. So that's where you hear it kind of like take time to go up and down. If you set this to 0, it'll just suddenly change the note. But if you bring it up, we'll have it like, yeah, maybe 60-ish. I don't know, milliseconds. Yeah, you can play around with that. But that's another way to kind of spice up bass lines that's pretty popular. And I'm sure you've heard it before in songs. So, yeah, so maybe we can try it with this here. And let's see what that sounds like. And actually, you know what? It sounds like it still sounds the same, but that's only because the kick is hitting right here. So what we can do is bring this one back just a little bit to have it start a little bit early. Maybe that's probably good. So now when we do it, you can kind of hear it start to rise before that kick hits. And that's, so it's kind of gliding in even though the kick still hits there. So, yeah, so we have that. And then maybe we'll have like this part glide in. Maybe that'll sound good. Let's see. So yeah, it's not too bad. And then, yeah, the other way we can spice this up is with variations. So, I mean, we can have a 1-bar, plenty of tech house songs have a 1-bar bass line, but plenty more have 2-bar, 4-bar, even 8-bar. We're not going to get that far, but some of them even have 8-bar long, varied bass lines. So, we can do that in Ableton. If you use Ableton, you can hit this duplicate loop button here, and it'll duplicate the loop for you because that's what it does. And so, yeah, all of a sudden we have a 2-bar loop with the 2 things here. And yeah, let's go ahead and change up the second one. So I kind of like the rhythm we have. We can keep the same rhythm, but let's change up the notes a little bit. So, maybe let's see. One thing that's kind of popular with, especially like with Fisher does this a lot. Also, Summer Camp. If you've ever heard of Summer Camp in Tech House, he does this a lot. He'll use what's called the sixth. So you have the root note here is F. That's the 1. Then the 3 is the G sharp. That's the 3rd. And then the 5th is the C here. The 6th is, actually it's a flat 6th, is C sharp here. So when you play that with the root note, it has like some tension to it, and it sounds kind of cool. It sounds like, it sounds kind of, I don't know, like higher energy, I guess. So yeah, so maybe we'll try that with this. Maybe we'll like move this guy up here. We'll keep the glide. I kind of like the glide. And then, yeah, maybe move this to C here. And let's just see what that sounds like. So yeah, that works. And so, yeah, you don't want to overuse it though. It's a cool effect, but if you do it too much and you have the bass going up too high too often, it kind of makes it kind of, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you can do what you want. If it sounds good, it sounds good. But in general, you kind of want to make that like maybe once every couple of bars, if that. But yeah, we basically have a pretty good bass line right here. Another way to spice it up would be to add little breakdowns. So if we were to duplicate this loop again, so now we have this. Now in the final bar, so the 4th bar here, we can kind of switch up the rhythm. So if you notice, most of this is syncopated, like I mentioned before. Only the first note of every bar is on the beat. And so we could probably switch it up in the 4th measure here and have maybe the last couple of counts be on the beat, and that would kind of reset the rhythm. So this is a little bit more advanced like rhythm theory here, but by resetting I guess going against the listener's expectation and kind of resetting that rhythm there, you can make the syncopated part that comes after feel even groovier. So I'll kind of show you what I mean. So if we move these, let's see, we'll put this guy here, maybe this guy here, and then maybe this guy here, maybe this guy here, and we'll keep that glide because I like that glide that goes up there. So now if you listen to it, it'll definitely sound different, but it'll make the next part feel groovier. So let's give it a listen. You see what I mean? So yeah, that part here just kind of like resets it and you're just like, whoa. And then it makes the next part, even though it's the same, it still feels groovier. So yeah, that's another way to mix it up. Let's see, one final tip on kind of making it, I don't know, more interesting, is coming in on or kind of switching up when you start the rhythm. So we're starting on the first beat here, which is probably the most common, but another common way to do tech house rhythms, and I guess bass lines in general, not even just house, any genre of music, is to bring it in on the offbeat or on the second beat even. So for example, let's see, maybe we'll switch this guy up, the 3rd bar here, and we'll just bring it back maybe to the offbeat there. And so all of a sudden now it's like start on the beat, not starting on the beat, and then start on the beat again, but then switch up the rhythm. So let's see what that sounds like. So yeah, there you go. That's another way to kind of switch things up and add variation that kind of like adds, I guess, groove, or it kind of like goes against the listener's expectations, but still follows the song, if that makes sense. And that's kind of what you're going for when you make music is, going against the listener's expectations, but making it interesting. So, that's essentially it. I mean, it's not super complicated. It's kind of a 3-step process. So, and actually, if you do these 3 steps, if you find an interesting rhythm with syncopation and being on the beat in different parts, and then if you stick to the key and you could mainly stick to the main chord and maybe throw in a couple of other notes, but mainly stick to the main chord and kind of add some notes in there that aren't the root note. And then finally, if you add variation and if you add legato and some other effects, you can spice it up even more, and all of a sudden you've got yourself 2-bar, 4-bar, even 8-bar really sick bass lines. So that'll just about do it for today. So all right, so that's going to do it for today's tutorial. If you liked what you saw or if you learned anything, you know what to do. Hit the like button and subscribe and hit the bell notification for the next time I post one of these. I'll try to post these videos about once a week, so you have that to look forward to next week. Also, if you want to just come hang out, I'm on Twitch, so I do live DJ sets on Twitch on Mondays at 8 p.m., as well as production just like this on Wednesdays at 7. So links to that, as well as my social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a good week. Bye, guys.